Hello, ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we're back actually with a new season of ST2 League. This is season 7 now, which I'm stunned. Ryan, do you think we were going to hear this at when we started the whole league process?
Yeah, it's a lot of bloody seasons at this point.
It certainly is, but we are going into the 7th one, and folks, today in Orsha East, we actually have 2 new fashionable people. Ryan, who do we have?
On left-hand side in the blue, we have Lovegood playing 4th Alpina division with a balanced income. Right-hand side in red, we have P. Yuritana playing 8th Indian Infantry with a Maverick income.
So, new divisions. I know you and I were talking a little bit about it before. Tell the folks at home, what should we expect from the Italians over here and the Indians, sir?
The Italians have not a lot of great tanks. They're cheap tanks, but nothing super high powered. Decent cheap infantry, good air support, pretty standard. A lot less standard, I'd say, of like infantry, light infantry type divisions. And the 8th Indian are pretty bog standard in equipment. There's nothing really too fancy about them, but they have some pretty decent infantry for the price. Those Indian rifle teams are pretty damn good. And honestly, a really good division. Probably the new second New Zealand, which was the new 3rd Canadian.
And that seems absolutely fair, actually. I'm kind of with the fact that we have super early 25-pounders actually out on the map itself. Yeah. Really, really great firepower. And you can see right now they're targeting that road, which is exactly where you need to be aiming over here on Orsha East, obviously.
Yeah, it's not a terrible opener right off the bat, especially on the hill, because usually the enemy forces are very clumped up. It'd be curious to see whether, invest in a lot of artillery early on. It's 150 points of an RT party. Is pretty costly. It could be frontline units, and as we're seeing, Tanner doesn't have a whole lot of frontline units on that hill.
No, he doesn't, but you know he does have. He's got Shermans, which means, of course, he's got stabilizers, and that is certainly a great place to be.
Yeah, and the Shermans actually got a pretty decent buff with their last patch as their vehicle MGs, so now just slightly better, and that makes them quite a bit better. We're starting to see a slight resurgence of the Sherman spam.
And just in time, too. Ooh, there's going to be a delicious artillery strike up to the northern side here. And, oh man, this really feels like, the Italians actually being in this game, I truly, truly feel we might be headed back for crazy, ridiculous Italian tank rushes. I'm super excited for it.
Same, they have all the meme vehicles. They even have the goddamn autocannon on the back of the truck from bloody War Thunder.
So,
probably not as memey compared to the War Thunder one, but just the Italian tanks, I have a soft spot for them.
Well, don't worry, they have soft spots all over. But,
armor.
It's true. Artillery strike to the north. I don't know what happened that Pierre Tanner, he timed that beautifully. Yeah,
he, maneuvered those infantry out of that potential artillery strike. He had a sixth sense, or maybe map hacks, yet he knew that was going to happen, so he definitely curbed his losses, and now he can actually move on back with his units to try and regain that position. But, well, Lunar Lovegood has a lot of pioneering in that forest, and they're pretty nasty.
Yes, he does, and at the same time, too, since he's so focused on the northern side, he's actually moved his tanks right back into another one here in the center, as Lunar Lovegood, well, she's going to go pretty ham on this. Of course, there's not a lot to follow this up at the second. But maybe it's more of a suppressive kind of idea more than anything else. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of suppressive fire. Those off-map artilleries from Luna is keeping Tanner at bay, but at the same time, Tanner with his artillery is kind of keeping Luna at bay for the time being. So really indecisive on the hill. Strategically probably in Tanner's favor, as he's managing to hold onto that ground with much less force.
Very, very true. Now, I think you said this at the top of the cast overall, that you kind of look up to the northern side and see there's this giant little fur wall going on here on the ground. This is a dogfight indeed. But, when it's going to be kind of tilting the side of the Indians over here as the Spitfire comes roaring in. Wait, the other direction? Oh. That's like Ivan Drago's on the map, but that's Centauro Drago. The Italians, you said... That's a beautiful name, man. You said that the Italians have a really, really great air tab. What did you mean by that, sir?
Yeah, they just have, like, Italian planes are pretty decent, especially fighters. You got a good amount of, like, fire support to back you up. I mean, in this case, it's a decent amount of Ju-87s. It's just a decent air tab, all things considering, really, and you kind of have to make use of it because, by God, you don't have the ground-based anti-tank.
No, you do not. I mean, we do have a couple of those knockoff kind of like not quite Pack 40s, and indeed you see the Italian version of them both in A and B, but you can see not a whole lot of play really to opportunity there.
No, those are legit Pack 40s. They just have a stupid name.
Yeah, but you know, they're crewed by, never mind, I don't want to be insulting to that particular community. Let's just say, yeah, not a whole lot in the tank tab. I will say that. The anti-tank tab, excuse me.
Yeah, it's like Tartalek. Or I guess old Tartalek, or the Hungarians, where you just have to make do with using a good amount of high explosive, suppressive power, and good infantry to win the day.
That certainly does seem true. Now, one thing you're talking about, you really, really liked the Indian rifles. Was there any particular reason behind it, or just because they have the double Bren with a Piat? Is that just because they're basically 5th Scots with a little bit more firepower?
No, they're just really good 20 points. They're kind of like the Greek blokes from 2nd New Zealand. The main thing is this Raider trait and Trove Men, which is pretty decent for a 20-point rifle squad. An adequate amount of firepower, but it's good enough to get you going. It's really just Raider trait and the Trove Man. They're better to spam compared to like regular Commonwealth rifles, so it gives the division a little bit of flavor. Not too flavorful. It's not like a hot Madras curry, but it's enough to get you by.
That's true, and I'm not sure that the Italians really be able to stomach a hot Madras curry, but, you know, I've been surprised before by their culinary suggestions here. We are seeing a push up the middle over here in terms of Indian rifles, and like you said, these guys do have a good amount of firepower, and the Raider is very, very good. However, I think the part that I'm always going to be concerned about is, unless you specifically get that anti-tank firepower from a 57mm, or even from, you know, the kind of 17 pounders you can get in A and B, is that really going to be enough to kind of fill the gaps between it?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult dealing with those Shermans. The best tank they have is that P26, and it's pretty mediocre. I mean, you do have the Pack 40s, but not a whole lot of them, and it's hard to position them on that hill.
So no. I meant from the Indian side of things, because the Indian side of things, I think that's my issue overall, is that the Commonwealth infantry, so rarely, outside of committed actual squads, doesn't tend to have that same anti-tank prowess that we see from like a lot of German ones, for example.
Oh yeah. It's just one of the big problems with Commonwealth infantry. I mean, you do have the Piat teams, which are decent, but it's really just about using those Shermans and anti-tank guns to provide adequate fire support. But yeah, just looking at the southern end of the map here, we've seen Luna actually managing to get both of the farm complexes here, so really good nab. And he's also put in a bit of pressure all around the far southern side as well. Some of the Italian armored scout cars, just trying to dictate the battle in another direction.
Well, the interesting thing was that there was a 57mm down there for quite a bit of time. You can see that one Autoblinda 43 was damaged considerably. Actually, I wanted to turn our attention back to the northern side, because what had been an Italian forest, well, not looking like it's the same kind of taste any longer.
Yeah, Tanner invested a whole heap of forces up here, the Sherman, a bunch of rifles, Piats, which aren't great in CQC, but yeah, Pioneer recruits can't really hold a line, and there's only so many Pioneers to try and ward them off. So that's going to be a pretty good counterattack here from Tanner, going to be grabbing both of those flags, but he is still losing by +1 bleed, and Luna, and I mean, Tanner's one-play Maverick. He's the one who should be leading the momentum and charge at this stage in the match.
That certainly does seem to be the case, wouldn't it?
Yeah. He's really going to make up for that in B phase.
Yeah, it's weird to actually see the Italians be as dominant as they are. I mean, a lot of the equipment, like you said, is a little bit lackluster. Though, geez, indeed, I look away for 1 second. What killed that Sherman?
It's the bloody War Thunder 20mm car.
Jeez.
The thing's the bloody clown car, I swear to God.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Yeah.
And constantly, we just have more and more spotter aircraft. So yes, you can bring forward your Gurkhas as much as you want to. I'm not sure those Gurkhas will be long for this world.
We've seen the off map. I don't know if he has enough of charging that or if he's just using it for reconnaissance purposes. But yeah, G1's gonna come in.
I'll say he should have one, I think, because he's used two. I think he had two separate spotter aircraft get brought on in.
Yeah.
No, it's just the one. Never mind.
Yeah, it's just using it for legit reconnaissance, but that's actually going to help out quite a bit because there's not a whole lot of anti on his side, so he's going to have a very good eye on the actual forces up here and actually doing some decent strafing runs.
Well, the Centauro brought down the Spitfire that was just kind of lollygagging through towards the front lines from east to west about a minute ago. Looking down to the south, we heard some firepower. Yep, those recon cars are engaging those rifles quite a bit more. But he's been losing a little bit of territory, Luna Lovegood has. Is that because of Yuri Tanner getting the econ back in advantage, or what?
Yeah, once again, into that B phase, you do have that economy advantage, roughly 35 points or so. So you just kind of, you get that momentum back, and you really have to, well, for Tanya's case, in this next 10, really 15 minutes to try and get that momentum. But Luna is still putting on the pressure. He's pushing pretty hard in the center now, bringing a whole heap of fire support of the Sherman down. Those Gurkha rifles, I mean, they're fanatical, and they're pretty nasty, but that's a lot of Italians are going to get through.
Yes, indeed. I do like the double Bren and the 3 Thompsons, I will say. Close in firepower, delicious there. How do you feel about the, I was going to say disgruntled, but the disheartened, Alpinis over here?
Yeah, they're alright. If I can just pull up one of their stat cards real fast. If one of them would unload properly, there we go. I mean, for 15 points, they have a decent amount of firepower. I mean, they have a machine gun. It's a Breda machine gun, so it's definitely, the bottom of the barrel of machine guns, yeah. But not bad. I mean, the Italian Alpini division is very much a spammy division of infantry. They're pretty well equipped for the price, but they're not. I mean, they're not Falchimiagos, that's for sure.
No, but you do actually get some. I think you get the opportunity for those a little bit later, don't you? Or am I confusing with the Allied version?
Oh, the Allies Italians get some pretty nasty grudge. 4 Bren guns in a single squad.
Well, I might have given it away a little bit, folks. Definitely come back on Thursday because you are going to see the other side as the Italians kind of flip their hands over to the other side of the field. Now, I do also want to make a quick call that the northern side, which had seemed so dire over here for Luna Lovegood, has gone very much the other direction, as has that northern central position as well. So it is very comfortably back in a 15-9 in favor of Luna.
Yeah, it was a very good counterattack. I think just having the reconnaissance plane there, doing the spotting and picking off those units before they can really solidify a defense, and just sniping at Sherman, got him the victory on that northern side. And really, it's just about sniping Sherman's trim. Once he manages to deal with Tanner's armored threats, as we've been seeing, he manages to push on through. And also, I just noticed those 25-pounders haven't been firing for a while. It's because they're out of ammunition.
Yes.
We're finally seeing the supply truck being brought in.
But though not to be counted out just yet. We do have a couple of Gurkhas moving in the southern town, and these guys are going to do very, very well. Already getting 1 surrender. This armored car's going to get picked off here because those Gurkhas do have gammons. So
Gonna be lobbing them high.
That's true. I mean, they do play cricket, so not really sure it's going to be. Actually, you know what? I'm maybe going to attempt. I think it's an over for the whole 7 runs or 9 runs. 7 runs.
All over my head.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Regardless, while they are taking the southern town, this central position is getting pushed back rather considerably. Yeah,
we're just seeing pretty concentrated push here from Luna. I mean, the Spitfire coming in, trying to provide some adequate fire support. God, that's a lot of 40 mils he just invested in. There was a free 40 mils right in the center, and yes, there are Axis airplanes to shoot down, but I think that may be a little bit of an overcommitment. He is bringing in also 2 Shermans, which he desperately needs to hold the center. Because, yeah, it's all just coming down to those Shermans holding the line.
It is. It certainly is. I do want to have a quick call at the M15s and the P26s. For me, for some reason, I look at that silhouette, and my first thought is always like, no, it's not a Nimrod. No, it's not a Nimrod. But, insulting armored vehicles aside, the central position, I think the only thing that's even keeping this from being a giant rout is those 2 Vickers to the northern side. And even at that point, the MG42 long range, the Alpinis with the Faust, I mean, those squads right there, those are quite fearsome, I would say. And for 20 points
Faust
yes.
With MG42, not bad. The one problem which a lot of the Alpini guys do suffer from is smaller squad sizes,
True.
which are a bit cheaper. But they do have decent firepower. I mean, in the southern town, we saw Pioneer, you beat off those 2 Gurkhas. That sounded much more sexual than it needed to be.
I was just going to comment, yes.
Because you have Berettas, you have a bloody flamethrower and satchel, the bundle grenade for 30 points. Like, you flame them, you blow them up, it's a nasty 1-2 combo.
In the meantime, now that the 25-pounders have been getting their own firepower also back onto the field, they are pounding those northern Italian positions in that town. Though not to be outdone, the flame troops are still getting very, very tight. And indeed, I think they're actually doing rather well. They're punching above their weight, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, just the problem with a lot of the Commonwealth divisions, you don't have good specialized CQC troops. You just have decent rifle squads which you can spam. And they're good at holding, especially the 8th Indian runs, but without the adequate fire support like Shermans to make up for lack of CQC, you're going to have a bad time.
Now, that said, though, the P26 in the middle, he's not going to be able to pen that Sherman unless things go really, really awry. I would say watch that pen the Sherman right there, but regardless, I mean, we are seeing that there is a potential to get a slight bit of an advantage in the center, but you have to support it. I mean, right now, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the rifle squads are being diverted not to less important areas, but to areas in which you're not going to be getting the same kind of investment, or return on your investment, excuse me.
Yeah, we're seeing right now Tanner invest pretty heavily down south, and I think he's just trying to find a new angle of attack in regards to finding a good area to capture. I mean, southern side is definitely less fortified, so to speak, but I mean, he does have the Sherman. If he can use that Sherman effectively to deal with the 2 autocannon cars, he can make some decent progress, but compared to the center and up north, yeah, it's not as a flag-rich environment.
True.
The far southern side it is.
True. Now, we are seeing, along with this kind of resurgent push in the south, a bit of a resurgent push on the eastern slope of the Gingerbread Man neck right there. And in even fights or slightly outnumbered, of course, the Alpinis, as solid as they are going to fall prey to what you cautioned before. They are not going to have that staying power as you can going to be seeing those Indian rifles. So.
But we're seeing here Indian rifles have no fire support backing them up, so that nice cheap autocannon car is going to be able to keep them at bay for the time being. And the thing of the Indian division, especially of how it's built for Mr. Tanner, he doesn't have any cheap fire support vehicles like, light tanks or autocannon cars. His only real fire support vehicles are Canadian Sherman. And Shermans are pretty good, but sometimes you just need a stag hound,
That's true. That's true, but the Shermans down south say, stag hound this, and take out those 2 autocannon cars without even stopping. They fired on the move, so well done there.
I've seen the JU-87 Cummins gets a perfect pickup here. Exactly what Luna needs to be doing. He also has the Pack 40 as well, which is probably going to finish off the second Sherman shortly.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, the one thing I've been really impressed with is the union of, like you said, the air power. It's been deliciously effective. We've had spotter planes come in to identify targets. We've had these fighters flying cover. Those fighters are way more fearsome than I expected.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. I do love the use of those spotter planes, because it's a good 1-2 combo, bringing up his recon to keep the tank spotted, so they can't just bugger off behind the tree line, and then your plane gets shot down. And this is also kind of a mistake from Tanner, just having his AA so centralized in the center of the map. If he had one of those pieces down south, he probably could have saved that Sherman. Or maybe. It would have been a better chance.
True. True. And that's a fair thing to say, that the better chance would have been the biggest part of this. There has been some bad luck rolls, I think, too. The P-26, for example, in the middle, was eventually able to take out that Sherman, which is a very, very bad beat, to use the poker term. But that's kind of been the consistent message across this entire thing. The Italians may not have the best equipment, but it's solid enough to get the job done when it's deployed and supported correctly.
Yeah. They kind of reminded me a little bit of Lovash, or of less beefy squads compared to the Hungarians. But you just have a lot of cheap fire support vehicles, which aren't good, but there's something at least. And if you can make use of everything else, they can work quite well. And I do like, this game's really cool now, just due to the amount of bloody divisions. I mean, we've got Italians, we've got South Africans, we've got Indians all added.
Then we have a Brazilian.
Brazilians as well. Jesus Christ, you're right. Like, it's, in terms of just historical content of an RTS, like World War II RTS game, it has a lot of content in ST2 now.
Yes, there is. There is. And it's really, really great to see everybody represented there.
Yeah.
I think Tanner justifiably taps out. And I felt like the KD over here, about what we expect, a little less than 1,000, but at the same time, it did not seem to be going very well at all for the Indians through most of that phase A, and indeed, there at the end, of course.
Yeah, Tanner just could not get that momentum. I think investing into artillery early on definitely screwed him over a bit. I think investing that more into frontline units, especially for the central south, probably will rent a little bit better. It was very experimental play, and I do appreciate seeing someone do a ballsy maneuver like that, but he never got the momentum in that match. He was always reacting to Luna's plays, except for that small push up north, but after that, it was just trying to deal with Luna's strike.
Well, and to kind of piggyback on that, if you're going to do the early artillery, like you're going to bring that in A and everything like that, that's fine. But then you have to take an early supply truck.
Not right at the start of the match.
Well, and I mean an early supply truck, as in, like, at least have an opportunity to bring one in an A. Let me be more precise there.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Because having to wait until B, I mean, geez, you're gonna have so much firepower early on, which is wonderful, and then you have to wait as all your shells start to run dry, and you have to wait 10 minutes to bring something in on the back end of that.
I see what you mean, yeah, because he did not have that A-phase supply truck.
Exactly.
Yeah, that screws you over, especially if you're playing Maverick. You shouldn't really be. You should be able to get A-phase supply trucks both Indian. I'm fairly certain, but you're not playing long game with Maverick.
No.
Just A-phase trucks should be more than enough to get you by.
Exactly. But regardless, love seeing the Commonwealth Indian Forces here. It continues to be so great to see that continue to evolve and to spread across. I still don't think we're going to get any Japanese divisions anytime soon, but I'd love to see these other countries finally represented as well. So that's fantastic. Yeah. I think we continue our coverage over here on Thursday, like I said, right?
Indeed, we will.
Okay. Well, folks, in that particular case, then, until Thursday, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rang Rude. Take it easy.